everybody, whether you're on the East Coast, West Coast, or around the world. Welcome to Coast to Coast. I am here with the Philly sports guy and, of course, Stat Guy dropping in last second. Maybe, or maybe not. All right. How's it going, man?
I'm doing fantastic. I have some vacation hair going on here. A little bit of a tan. I kind of look a little red in this light, but it's like it is what it is. I'm living a dream.
Yep. And of course, if you're watching, we won't have a show tomorrow because I will also be on the road. So you got an interview queued up?
Yes, I did an interview yesterday with 302 Birds, and that's what's going to be on for an hour and a half. You get to hear a little bit about what happened at the Kelsey event, and we talk a little bit about sports and mostly about Philly stuff, but a little bit of some other stuff as well.
Awesome.
So, but I guess that guy is still a circle.
No, he dropped all the way out.
Gotcha. So he had to probably do the whole reset thing. But I tell you, this just kind of shows, that like there are some days that sports are hard to talk about. And like I know that we're not on sports talk radio, so that we have a lot of levity here when it comes to sports and talking about it or not talking about it. But so I go and I open up my app, the Score app today, and I go to news stories. And the first story that shows is this. I'm going to read it verbatim. Lawrence, and with a picture of not Joey Lawrence, obviously. Goal is to win Super Bowl with Jaguars after extension.
You would hope so, right?
Damn, I thought you were just doing it for the money. I mean, are you freaking kidding me? Like that's what the goal is? Or were you unsure about that beforehand? Like,
well, no, he wasn't paid.
Did it take $275 million to say, yes, this is my goal? And did you notice, here's another thing I saw that was very funny to me, that caught me kind of funny, was that the three highest paid quarterbacks right now are from teams that have cats as their logo. You have the Jaguars, the Bengals, and the Lions.
Yeah.
So guess who's probably the next one to get all that money? The Panthers.
I was going to say it can't be the Panthers because it's a few years.
But you never know. Like, hey, listen, all these cats must stick together, I guess.
I mean, and to be fair, the Panthers do really dumb stuff. So, I mean, maybe they sign him super early.
I tell you, it's been when I heard that, I was like, that's kind of interesting. And then, of course, it's, and the guy who does that video, he's like somewhat of a comedian. And sometimes he's funny, sometimes he's not. But he talks as if he's Lawrence and Burrows and Goff and stuff like that. And, it amazes me how these content creators have all of the jerseys. I guess they have to buy the jersey, which is great. That's why Temu is in business, because you can buy these jerseys for like $25 a piece. And, it doesn't matter if you try to buy, you just order it in XXX. It shows up in medium, and you just can squeeze it on your body and throw it on there and be like, I'm Jared Goff, And,
well, yeah, I mean, you're wearing it for 2 seconds to do your skit. And of course, on camera, you can't tell that it's, held together with Band-Aids. So, it works. Yeah. Temu, what's the other one? It's like DH Gate, I think is what it is.
DH Gate. I got rid of DH Gate. I literally, I ordered one thing from DH Gate one time, and I had to then change out my card that I used.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So that's why you don't use Temu or DHgate, because it goes into that system. Then all of a sudden it says, hey, we have a new credit card here. Let's steal it.
Pretty much.
So.
Yeah, that's one of those where you use it and then you cancel the card.
Let me just buy a gift card to use for this. So
That's actually a pretty good idea. It's funny because I mean, those knockoffs are actually pretty spot on generally. So I mean, they come out of the same factory anyway. So I mean, you're just saving 125 bucks.
And I did get some news. I do have a little bit of breaking news that I'm breaking here. I'm
Okay.
not breaking anywhere else.
All right.
For the first game of the NFL season for the Philadelphia Eagles, they will be wearing white.
Okay.
So I asked around and then I said, well, I need to get myself a jersey.
Sure.
So I'm hoping one falls off a truck that is game worn type jersey. Like I'm gonna start asking people. Like I might
Yeah.
like, hey, can I get a white jersey to wear? I might just ask Jason himself. You know what I mean? I'm going to see
Yeah.
him in a couple days. Like, hey, Jay, do you have a white jersey that I could wear for this game in Brazil?
Yeah.
You know, because I think it'd be best I don't wear green. Maybe that's a good idea. It would
Yeah.
be awesome if I could wear your entire stuff. Maybe I'd grow the beard or try to grow a beard and stuff myself with a pillow and wear some platform, shoes and look like you for a minute.
Like glue some fuzz on.
Yeah, like green. I would paint it green and stuff, and do the Philly sports guy with a beard, mustache and beard, and
That
then
would
the
be
green.
hilarious.
Um,
Although it would be warm.
yes, yes, but it's only one game.
True.
How bad could it
True.
really be?
So what's Green Bay wearing then? If you guys are wearing white.
So it makes me believe that they are going to be wearing yellow,
Oh, okay.
which should be very interesting to me.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the way that they did this, I'm sure because the Eagles are the home team, they get to choose the color, and that's why they're choosing white, probably forcing Green Bay to have to make a choice here on how they're going to proceed, whether they want to wear their green jerseys, whether they have an alternate jersey that's yellow. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Uh,
What are their? Because what was
I've
their?
never seen their yellow jerseys. I guess I have at some point.
Yeah. I can't think of what that looks like offhand.
Ugly,
Well, no, that part is definitely true.
but
Uh,
I mean, it's
they could do their throwback. They're like,
well, it would have to be their third jersey, whatever their third jersey is this year.
well, they probably do have a throwback jersey, right?
Well, I mean, something. I mean, because we have our Kelly Green.
Yeah. We got Stat Guy trying.
Yeah, he says he's not getting a connection.
Ah, well, it happens.
What's the frequency, Kenneth? I think that's a song. For all those people back in the 90s, that was REM.
It's been a couple years, yeah.
But I think that's the name of the song. What's the frequency, Kenneth? So, yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't see anything that tells me about Green Bay alternate jersey. There we go. Green Bay alternate jersey is ugh.
Wow, that is bad.
Oh my lord.
That is so bad. I mean, it's yellow. There is no doubt.
Hold on. Which one are you seeing? Because I was like, oof. Show me which ones you see.
It's basically solid yellow with green numbers, green stripe. What do you see?
Yeah. No, so I mean, it showed a number of them. All of them were just like yuck.
Yeah, no, they're hideous. There is no doubt.
I mean, I think the only jersey that's more hideous than what I'm looking at right now is no offense, the Seattle jerseys because they look like ass too. Those fluorescent green.
Oh, the Color Rush? Yeah, those are the worst, man.
Yeah,
No,
they are literally disgusting. I,
yeah, no,
I I can't stand them.
they
But
are.
oh, there it is. I got it. Yes, it's oh my god, it's like a snot yellow
Yeah,
with the
no,
green
like
lettering, with
it's
the
bad.
green stripes and white stripes. That's what I see.
Yeah.
Says Jordan Love. That's the Love. Says Jordan Love 10 yellow alternate. You can buy it right now for $70 on eBay. Go get yours while they last.
There will be plenty because ain't nobody ordering that thing. Well, I mean, I guess I don't know. The fans going down there, maybe, but
So,
yeah, no, that is bad. But no, you're not wrong. The Seattle Color Rush jersey, that green, especially when they wear all green, is man, that is bad. I did not love that when Nike rolled those things out. Because that was everybody's Thursday night football one year, right? Everybody had their Color Rush jersey, and they were all terrible. I mean, none of them were very good, but Seattle's is rough.
we didn't have a color rush. And if we did, we went back to our old school Kelly green.
Yeah.
And that's actually one of our favorite colors here.
So I'm sure you did the first year because they kind of forced everybody to have it. That first year they came out. I mean, obviously it's a long time ago now, but
Yeah, but maybe we color rushed black.
probably.
We probably had the black on black stuff. That was that one
Probably.
game we probably did. So our color rush was the lack of color.
Hey, better than I mean, I think probably the worst one was the Broncos because they were just a solid orange, just bad.
Right. Yeah, it's yeah. I like it when the NFL tries to make something happen, and now of course since I think it's Nike that has no, or is it Fanatics? Fanatics has the contract for all the jerseys now.
Yeah, well, the Color Rush thing happened because of Nike though, because they had it at the time, and they took a page out of their own playbook with the Ducks, right? Because the Oregon Ducks has a different jersey every game of the season, basically, and so when Nike,
Why do they do that?
I mean, they're sponsored by Nike. They
So
sell jerseys.
so Nike uses them as their like catalog. They're like, okay, we can do this color, we can do this color, we can do this
Well,
color.
yeah, because Nike's headquarters is in Oregon.
Yeah, but all those jerseys get made in China.
True, but you have
They're not called sweatshops anymore because they put in a couple of air conditioners.
pretty much. They're
So
not mad at the kids doing it because the stitching's so much tighter.
now they just call it school and they give a class. And you're like, hey,
That's
you're
right.
going
It's
to
trade
school to
school.
learn how to stitch.
That's right. Trade school. Here we go.
You think I'm kidding? That's the way you get around that. Oh,
Yeah.
we can't call them sweatshops anymore. Let's give them grades
Yep.
and not pay them.
Exactly. Oh, this one gets an A. We can sell this one. This one gets a D. This one goes on Temu.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the C is DH gate. The D
Exactly.
and lower goes to Timu.
You get an F. That one hits Wish direct.
Exactly. Never a dull moment on this show. So,
Uh,
uh, as I look down a little bit further down the list of these greatest stories now ever told on Score, because there really is nothing going on in sports other than we're just about into the dog days of summer.
yeah.
I think it starts tomorrow, where the dog days of summer begin, especially because it's going to be like 100 degrees here. Uh, the
Yeah.
next thing I see is that Caitlin Clark didn't ask to be a cultural battering ram.
Okay.
So I don't know if anybody's ever asked to do it. You
Yeah. I
know,
don't. That's not usually something you sign up for. right? That is generally that cartoon. Everybody takes a step back and you're left standing by yourself. That's how you get nominated for that.
Right. I mean,
paying attention, and you get to be that person.
the only thing that I really, um, the only person I could think of that really had that was LeBron James.
Sure.
LeBron James was anointed the king before he ever stepped foot on an NBA court.
Well, yeah,
And
but that's because in high school he looked like he was 35 already.
right, that receding hairline is what did it. But
Exactly.
but that being said, I mean, literally, he was. You're right. He was a men against boys, and trust me, I remember watching Kobe Bryant play. I mean, Kobe Bryant played in our division in high school. So, like, I went to Ridley, he went to Lower Merion. So,
Okay.
Ridley used to be a pretty good basketball school. They were not a good basketball school that year because, I mean, Kobe spanked them. It was like Kobe scoring 50 points for his team. His team won 58-36.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was those were the types of games that would happen. And then he went up against Chester and things like that. And that was actually a really good game for the state championship, which, again, we're both from Delaware County for the state championship. And that was, a pretty good game to kind of watch. That all being said, I mean, LeBron, same type of situation. Caitlin Clark came on the scene, fairly recent.
Yeah, a couple years ago now.
You know what I mean? So she is this battering ram for women. And I'll be honest, I feel like that she's taking this like a champ. She really is. She's not crying about the Olympics. She is not crying about the fact that she's getting these fouls. It's everybody else around her doing the crying. She has been taking this with a lot of grace. And that doesn't ever get spoken about at all.
Yeah.
It's all about the fact that, hey, these women are beating her up like this. And, it's like, everybody's trying to take credit away from her. And she does is she does her thing.
The thing that is crazy to me about this whole deal is she gets defended more by men than women.
Yes.
I mean, the women take every chance to tear her down, and that is just bizarre to me.
But this is what women do in general. This is part of the problem between women and men. Women are all on each other's team because of like the feminism thing. Like, we as a species, as the female species, needs to elevate ourselves. But the moment there you got that person that's leading the way, bitch, get down. They're like crabs. They're like crabs. The moment the crab is getting out of the pot, the one crab gets it and is like, oh yeah, bam, pull you back down again. And it's like she has really been above it. She has been majorly above it. And you hear, all right, I think we mentioned before, there's $500 million on the table that the U.S. is not going to get now. Like, that $500 million is not going to get that sponsorship. They're not getting because they don't have her on the team. Adam Silver, who I'm not a fan of, said it's ridiculous that she's not on this team.
It's funny because from a production standpoint, leaving her off the team, not really a problem. Right? Like, she's not doing anything that makes me think she's earned the spot on the team in that way. But at the same time,
so let me ask you this question.
From a marketing standpoint, though, it's a huge miss to not have her there.
So my question to you is this: if the WNBA didn't start until today,
sure,
should she be on the team?
I mean, you could make the argument for it.
The argument would be a hell of a lot stronger, you'd think.
Easily. Yeah. If everything was equal up to this point and they were, it was the off season, kind of like for the NBA, right? and you're going into it, yeah, you could make the argument for it much easier than you can in today, where the numbers aren't great. Now they're not going to be great because you're not on a good team. So, some of that plays a factor for sure. But, when you look at some of the people that she's getting compared to Rossi comes up a lot just because their numbers are very similar, but they always leave off the important stats because they don't help her case. And she has a lot more turnovers and the shooting percentage is worse, right? So from a production standpoint, I can see how you get left off. Only because the season has been going and she hasn't played exceedingly well. She hasn't played bad, but she hasn't been elite either. But at the same time, from a marketing standpoint, and with 500 million on the table that you potentially miss in endorsements, that's just bad business.
Right. In fact, it'll be amazing to watch. I swear, I hope she goes to Team Italy. I really do hope she goes to Team Italy. And
they're like, hey, give us 500 mil. We'll sign up.
Actually, it wouldn't even. They'd be like, give us 100 million and we're game. You know what I mean? Give us $50. Just come on the team, goddammit. You're going to give us a better chance of winning this thing because Italian women are small. They're short. But that being said, it's just like, and then on top of all of this, you have what happened with Brittany Griner, who had an assault charge. Now, if Brittany was a man, she'd have been kicked off of this team right away.
Yes.
Well, we think of Brittany as a man just because she looks like a guy right now. You know what I mean? It's just she's, I don't know what her pronouns are. So I'm not going to speak out of turn. She may, behind closed doors, identify as, a Vienna sausage. Who knows? You know what I mean? That being said, she gets an assault charge, gets arrested for beating up somebody.
Yep.
And she gets to remain on the team. If this was a man, that guy would have been kicked off the team. Short of it being Michael Jordan who gets into a fight, who they probably would have, everything would have come out on that. You would have seen every bit of video, every bit of thing. And unless he actually was the one that said, man, I'm going to mess you up, and then went ahead and beat him up. You know what I mean? Like sucker punched a guy. You know what I mean? All of that stuff is just ridiculous. You know what I mean? It's ridiculous to think that this is, that there's all these different rules for the women in comparison to the guys. The women want the same treatment as men, but then something happens where they should be treated like guys and they're not.
Yeah. Hey.
Look at that.
What's up?
That is not outside or your car.
Nope, that is not.
Looks like a garage almost.
That is a bunk. That is a indoor batting facility right now upstairs.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
Is there a window in front of you to watch the batters bat?
I'm like on the second level, so there's like a downstairs level where the actual field stuff is, but that's why I couldn't get connection because I couldn't get the router to fix itself.
Yeah.
Understood. So right now we're talking about how Caitlin Clark has not been. She did not choose to be in the position that she's in, and even during the process of being in this position, that she's honored, like she's done herself very well by not feeding into any of it whatsoever. I tell you, the high road, especially in this circumstance, is a road very less traveled, and it's hard to run. It's hard to run on the high road, and she's been doing it really well. And now, since they're starting to televise more of these interviews, these after-game interviews with other players, when you listen to her talk in comparison to listening to anybody else in this league talk, there's a reason why. She speaks intelligently. She understands the questions that's being asked and actually listens to the question that's being asked.
Mhm.
I was watching one interview that they replayed. I guess it was maybe on Instagram. And the reporter had to ask the question 6 times. I counted 6 times. And she's like, what? Huh? What? Is that a question? What did the bench do last? Like he's like, what do you need? What kind of production are you looking for from the bench? And what do you need your bench to do to be able to win some of these games? And she's like, huh? What?
Well,
What
also
are you asking? Like, repeat the question. What did the bench do? And then was like, and then the question, she finally got, what did the bench do last game? They scored points and got rebounds. What did they do this game? They didn't. Well, that's what they need to do. Is that it? Am I done talking? And then storms off in a huff.
Yeah.
Literally, that was the interview.
Yeah.
I'm like, no wonder nobody wants to fucking listen to you.
Well, and when you look at some of these other interviews too, whether it's Angel Reese or whether it was the other girl that had that hard foul on Caitlin Clark, every one of these interviews they come off as jealous because she's getting the spotlight because of her success. And even if they don't try to come off that way, all their interviews kind of give you that impression because they're all just saying like, well, I'll be the bad guy for my team if I have to, or this and that. And every single time Caitlin Clark takes the high road and is like, she's a great basketball player. I played against her for a long time. She's a great player, and she never lets any of this like get to her at all.
So, as you say that, the whole Angel Reese thing, and I'm like, listen, girl, take off the eyelashes. You look like a hooker in New York. You know what I mean? Like, stop it. Just stop it. But beyond that, like, she's like, crying that, they're more than Caitlin Clark. I'm on this team. People are watching me too. Well, the truth of the matter is that they, the 2 worst teams in the league, just about had the most watched WNBA game of all time just last week. 2.25 million people, which is not a lot of people.
No, it's not.
We're not talking, this isn't Super Bowl numbers here. But
it's impressive for what it is, especially compared to what they've been doing.
Correct. And they play again this week. Yep. So the bitching and crying that's happening by Angel Reese, and it's really Angel Reese, really. I don't really hear anybody else crying until you ask somebody who is of any bit of stature in the WNBA. I will say that Taurasi has not gone down that road. At least I haven't heard it yet.
Except for the week of the draft, she did
she did say that I would
say something like, "Congratulations on all your accomplishments that you made, but you're about to come into a different type of a environment. Like the WNBA is a different."
That's not really a dig, though. It's
not. But I'm just saying, like outside of that, she hasn't even said anything either. Like all the veterans that were kind of getting on Caitlin Clark heading into the draft that were saying like she's gonna have kind of like a rude awakening when she gets here. They've kind of shut their mouth now that she's here, and it's Angel Reese. It's all these other people that were kind of getting on her in college that are continuing to pile on her.
Yeah. So on your interview front, it's funny that you say some of them are tough to listen to because there are a couple of them that really come off as the I ain't a musician is the type of interviews that you're hearing out of them, and it's hilarious.
Yeah, and it's a shame. It really is a shame, is what it is, because ultimately these are, if they were just a little bit better prepped, like come on, you gotta have a little bit of prep to these girls. Give them a little bit of heads up and be like, so that they don't come across as catty bitches. Well, because every time you talk to them, that's what they come across as. And it's demeaning the sport in total, not just the women. It demeans the sport in total.
Well, you have to imagine that they have a media team that can at least prep these girls.
It sounds like you're in a submarine.
Oh.
I'm hearing the hits. It's like ping, sonar, ping.
Just enjoy the sound of metal bats.
Yep.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. I mean, it's hard to believe that they don't have media teams that are practicing some of this media coverage, right? You have to imagine that behind closed doors, they're like, hey, let's do some mock interviews here so that you're comfortable in front of the camera when it happens. Because you can't come out and be that aggressive to the media, the general media that's asking you questions after a game. I get that was a question that maybe she was mad about, in that scenario where, well, what do you think the bench needs to do? They need to score points. So, like, I get the frustration if you just got smoked, but at the same time, if it's the only time we've seen you on camera, you probably need a different first impression to what everybody's seeing. And I'm sure she's been interviewed before and I just haven't seen it. But at the same time, it's just a bad look. So you would think in-house, there's got to be people within the organization that could be prepping. They do it for football.
Oh, yeah.
So
they do it for every sport.
exactly.
It wouldn't surprise me because there's not a lot of money that's being funded into this. I know that the WNBA is a loser, but organizations have all of these different all of these different people, and usually one of the coaches is a media coach, somebody who's going to say, hey, listen, it's likely this question's going to come up here. I'm going to put the bug in your ear that the question may come and that this is maybe how you should think about answering this. Take a few seconds, think about it real quick before you go up there, so that you can formulate an answer that comes from you without sounding ridiculous.
Yes.
That's what somebody who gets prepped does. Like, hey, yeah, you had a great game today. When you had a great game, the questions you get are softballs. When you have a difficult game, you are going to get hit with some harder questions. Most times you're able to answer them when they come to you. But when it comes to everybody else on your team, you got to make sure that you have a little bit of prep and be like, okay, listen, you guys had a tough game today. Make sure they're going to ask you these questions about stuff like this. You don't want to throw your teammates under the bus.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And that's what they're doing here. I mean, this is a sorority of women that are playing, and they're throwing one of their sorority members under the bus on a consistent basis. And
it's funny because the way to answer that question is so easy. You're just like, oh yeah, we lack production, and but as a team, we all have to do better. I need to be able to facilitate the bench better. Me facilitating their location on the court will allow them to score at a higher rate than they were. So, I mean, you can take it, like, you don't have to bury your teammates. You don't have to be like, oh, they're just terrible and they need to score more. It's like, yeah, well, you were on the floor with them, right? So take ownership of your part of it. And that's what you're taught to say in those situations. Do you think that your bench sucked? Yeah, you probably do, but that's not what you say on camera.
Right. And that's what she said. Ultimately she was like, well, what they do last game, what they do this game, what I got to do better. Are we done talking?
Yeah.
Really? That's how you're going to address your people? That's how you're going to address your fans? Because some people are fans of you. So other than the catty women that you hang with that say, bitch, man, you played that great, and their team sucks around you and stuff like that, everybody else is actually like a fan of you. You want young women to be able to look up to you, and that's how you're going to talk? You know what I mean? Like, you are setting an example. Yeah. People laugh at me all the time because I say that I don't drink at games because there's too many kids around. When I say it, they immediately get, that's respectful. I understand that.
Yeah.
But when I just say I just don't drink at games or whatever, the moment they walk away, they're like, shit, I wouldn't do that. I'd still have a beer or two. I'd still drink. What do the kids see everybody else drinking? Why wouldn't they see you drink? What's the difference? And the difference is the mark that you leave. That's the mark that you leave. And when you have fans that you don't know about, when you are on a public stage, it amazed me, and I'm not trying to pat myself on the back here. This is not what I'm doing, but it amazed me how many people knew who I was that overseas.
Yeah.
Like people that I don't, I'm not even in immediate contact with, but they're following me overseas because they
Yep.
think that it's funny, or maybe I am the sports clown of America. You know what I mean? Maybe that's what this is. That being said, they have the enjoyment and they get pleasure out of watching me. Sometimes they get pleasure out of watching me have to say, yeah, congratulations to another team, in that you got to look at, I'm unhappy. You know what I mean? I know that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers got a lot of joy out of me last year, and me
Exactly.
looking like, I mean, that was
Yep.
I still get that picture almost on a daily basis.
Yeah.
So the
You know,
outreach that these athletes have is
yeah.
much larger than what they see in front of their face. And the fact that they don't understand that makes me feel like that athletes as a whole, as everybody, like, and
Mhm.
Charles Barkley said it initially, I am not a role
Role model.
model. You know what
Absolutely.
I mean?
Had his whole
But
ad campaign about it.
right, and that's but that was also done because, listen, you need to make sure that your parents, he understood he is a role model. Even though he said he wasn't, he is a role model.
For sure.
His role model is hard work and dedication to a craft can get you what you dream of. That's what he was suggesting in that. But you can't live like him because you ain't got the money like him. You
Exactly.
can't you can't do the things he does because he's worked his ass off to get there. And
Exactly.
that's where the parents need to come in. So, but athletes don't understand that. Like you could say, well, I don't need anybody following me. Yes, you do. Because if you didn't have anybody following you, you wouldn't be on the team in the first place.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
And I'm with you. So it's all situational, because if I'm working a game, I'm not drinking at the game. Now, if I'm doing an event like my sports bar series at a bar where there's not kids and like all of it, absolutely, I'm going to drink at that event.
right,
But if I'm, on the 29th, I'm going to be covering our arena football team, right? I'm not going to be drinking at that. You know, I'm going to be there working.
right,
And essentially that's what you're doing when you're there as the Philly sports guy, is you're working.
right.
So it's yeah, I mean, it makes total sense.
But it also, I realize that people are following me outside of that. I'm not the Philly. It says the Philly sports guy under me here, but obviously I am not the Philly sports guy right this second. I don't
Sure.
have the makeup on. I'm not at a game. I'm
Yep.
not yelling and screaming and carrying on, rooting for a team. Uh, Interestingly enough, though, I am rooting for someone. I'm rooting for Caitlin Clark
Sure.
because she has proven to me that she deserves me rooting for her. And
Yeah.
that's what I have found. Like Dawn Staley,
Mhm.
she's a Philadelphia girl, so I appreciate the things that she did. I appreciate the fact that she wanted to beat Caitlin Clark, and afterwards she gave Caitlin her flowers.
Yeah.
Because that's what it's called now. You're giving her your flowers
Yep.
because she understands the burden that is placed on her, because Dawn was somebody who was holding that burden at one point.
Yep.
Now, Dawn is, you could say this one way or another, is blessed by the fact that she is a black woman in a predominantly black sport and was the best at her craft
Yeah.
when she played.
Mhm.
And the fact that she came from Philadelphia actually only helps her situation here, because ultimately Philadelphia is a sports bedded town. So coming from a sports town, you're going to get fans from them who may not even watch. I'd be willing to bet that there was a lot of people in Philadelphia that were a little bit torn about the WNCAA tournament on who to root for, Caitlin Clark or Dawn Staley.
Sure.
And that is a real statement. And Dawn understood. You could tell Dawn understood right then and there what Caitlin was about to embark on.
Mhm.
And she's just like, yeah, you got it. You don't have the luxury of being black here. Like, I mean, it sounds funny as I say it that way. It's not meant to be funny in any stretch, but obviously Caitlin Clark can't help that she was born white. Just like the WNBA or the basketball in general can't help that it's predominantly a black sport.
Sure.
So it's not that but it's predominant is kind of what I'm getting at, and that's where I feel like that this is going, and it's a shame that this is being not just sexist but racist and elitist. I mean, this is hitting on all three here, and I have to say that Caitlin has really dealt with this in absolute grace, and that's why I hope she goes to Team Italy, because the one other country that I will actually pledge allegiance to a little bit, because I am going for my dual citizenship, is Italy. Right. So not that I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America all the time. So don't think I'm doing something different.
You are going to get barbecued. It's fine.
Yeah, but that's why I'm hoping that she goes to my nationality.
Hey, I'm Italian too, so if she goes there, she goes there.
Exactly. Hey, we hear from the Hunt for Red October. Just one king only.
That's right.
If we start hearing more than one ping, we got a problem.
Yeah, exactly. But so yeah, it's a shame. It's a shame that she has to go through this, but this is. We're going to look back on this, and maybe as early as 5 years and as long as about 25 years, and say that this is part of the suffering that women have had to go through.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, men did this, throughout all time. Men are always trying to oust each other. Men are always trying to be the top of the food chain and stuff like that. Yep. Women haven't had this fight on their side mostly ever. When you think of the girl in Argentina, or like Catherine the Great and stuff like that, all those women, and their end of their stories are bad. They get killed or beheaded and stuff like that. So there it is. There's the one ping only. But that's ultimately, the women haven't been able to fight that battle at all on their side yet. And there's a certain learning curve that's got to come with it, I believe.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm with you.
So that's all I got to say about that. Sounds like a good time to take a station identification break.
That's right. It's, let's see. Gonna do our air sports today. So here we go.
This is Reggie Jones, owner and founder of Air Sports Academy. Air is based on the 4 core principles: heart, education, integrity, resiliency. Air is about developing student athletes physically and mentally through training, mentorship, and effective marketing. We've created a platform and a blueprint for our state to shine in the brightest of lights. I created this program because it was a need for our state. We needed to have the light shine on the student athletes in our region, and now that is happening at an all-time and undeniable rate. We created a lane for the kids in our state to get their college education paid for and set their families up for future success. We created an environment where serious athletes can now come compete fearlessly. We've achieved this through our variety of elite programs. Our 6-month off-season program, where first-year starters or seasoned vets can all come develop. Our 5-on-5 program, which is all about our line. Our youth tackle program, which is the first and only youth tackle team from the state of Washington to ever win a major national championship. Our 7-on-7 program, which is ranked top 10 in the country every year. Our high school 11-on-11 club tackle program, which creates a unique and much-needed opportunity for our kids. Our college prep program, which allows our graduates to come back from college and prepare for the upcoming season. Our track and field program, which creates an opportunity for our young air boys and air girls to continue to get bounced. When you're a national program, you receive national respect. Which is why when you look at recruiting boards and top player lists from around the country, you'll always find players from Air on those lists. Which is why college coaches from some of the most prestigious schools around the country come into our facility to recruit our players. The Penn State, Alabama, Oregon, Stanford, Florida State, the list goes on. Our players are being recruited, offered, and committing to some of the top schools in the nation. The experience our players and families receive is second to none. We offer a competitive brand of sports at Air. We are the ball. And with that comes great responsibility. Heavy is the head that wears the crown. This is Air.
Normally, I would have done my reading one for True Fusion Gyms, but I wanted to refill my water bottle.
Understood. And I like that commercial. I really do. I think that's a good program, and it's a shame that they don't have programs like that throughout the country.
Mm-hmm.
There are.
Oh, there absolutely. There's got to be. You know what I mean? There's a reason why when there is, sports in general is a $1 trillion industry in general.
Absolutely.
You know? So when you have $1 trillion, it's awesome. And so these guys are obviously it's indoor here. Is it just a batting cage type of situation?
Yeah,
or is it getting pitched
it's
to?
It's an indoor batting cage.
So is it just the batting cages, or do they also have the facility where they have simulated games?
We have a hit tracks, so it basically tracks like the exit velocity, launch angle, how far you hit it, and kind of the pitch speed and what kind of pitch it was.
Okay.
And then on the other side, there's a pitching tunnel where it just channels the velocity and stuff.
Nice.
Okay. Got you. All right, nice. And this is in Wisconsin, or are you in Chicago?
Wisconsin.
Okay. Gotcha.
Got to have that when we have 6 months of the year under snow here. So.
Oh, I understand.
Yeah, that's fair.
I mean, I figure some of these baseballs, high school baseball stadiums should be like in domes.
Yeah.
So, is there domes to watch baseball?
There is one Division III college like 30 minutes from here that has a dome that they play like their early season games in, but outside of that, it's pretty much all outdoors, so you get to suffer through the 30-degree weather when the season starts in early March.
Do you have to use the pink balls in the snow?
Yellow
baseballs?
Yep.
Yeah, and just hope that it's not 4 inches or higher of snow.
No, we have yellow baseballs and we have orange.
Don't eat the yellow snow or the yellow baseball. So, but yeah, and I got to imagine not many home runs are being hit when you're using aluminum bats or
If the wind is blowing out, you'll still hit it out just because it just depends on where the wind's going. But typically around here, the wind is blowing side to side, so it's just hit the ball up in the air. It starts in left field, ends up in right center.
Got ya. That's always fun. I love it when that happens. Yeah, I remember it was October when I was over there in Wisconsin. The last time I was in Wisconsin, except when I was in Green Bay, it was like early November. But it was cold.
Last night we had a 75-foot pop-up that turned into a triple because it started in foul territory at third base and landed on the right field line.
Wow.
What kind of wind is that?
We had like 55-mile-an-hour winds at one point because we started to play through a little thunderstorm that came through just because we were trying to finish the game, and the ball went up. And the third baseman called it, and then all of a sudden you just see the ball go all the way across the infield. And all the kids are like turning their head trying to find where it's going, and it lands on the right field line.
Nice. It's
hey, the box score
looked like a triple to me.
Exactly.
And while the ball's up in the air, and it's the guy's already surrounding second.
Absolutely.
It's being carried that far, so. I tell you. So, all right, nice. So, really, that was the major stories tonight. I think the Stanley Cup gets hoisted tonight.
Yeah, I think so too. I was actually surprised.
No, it's tomorrow night. It's tomorrow night.
Yeah, it's tomorrow night. Yeah.
Oh yeah, but I was surprised they weren't able to close it out. Day before yesterday?
Yeah, I got to watch the end of the second period and the whole third period of that game, and you could tell that it was probably Edmonton's most complete game of this series.
Mhm.
I know that they won that game 8-1, but I credit that more to Florida saying, let's just bring this home and win it at home.
Yeah.
And that's where some of, like, you could see that was part of the thought process that can lead to a demise.
Yeah.
Because once you lose that first game and you don't come home and win it, now you get the butthole pucker.
Yeah.
You start to pucker,
Yeah.
and now you play a little bit tighter and stuff like that. I think that this is a Bobrovsky game.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to have to be.
Bobrovsky's going to win this game. I know that Connor McDavid right now is playing lights out, but ultimately you're going to have to get somebody on him and stick him the entire game. Somebody who is just on his shoulder and leaning on him the entire game.
Yeah.
That's what you got to do. And if you don't have the right guy on the ice because they get the last change on the ice, you have one guy skate right off and you get that guy back on the ice again. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of what you got to do. You got to make sure winning faceoffs in this game specifically is
Mhm.
going to be a big telltale on how this game ends. Because because Connor McDavid's going to go out there on third and fourth line shifts. If I was Florida, first off, I'm playing only 3 lines anyway. So you're not going to do a fourth line unless you're up by 3 goals. So you're going to be playing 3 lines, which means that you have to have somebody assigned on Connor McDavid every time he's out there on the ice, and he's going to play every bit of 22 minutes. So if it's got to be Kachuk, if it's got to be your defenseman that's just riding him, then you got to do it. You got to get him out there, and you got to get him off his game. Draisaitl, good, but he's not good enough to carry the team. It's going to be all on Connor McDavid. And as much as I don't like the guy, I've talked a lot of smack about Connor McDavid on this show specifically. I am a fan of good hockey. And he played some really good hockey over specifically the last game. So the things that he was doing with the puck is just amazing. And we don't see it enough here. You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't do it enough. Like, if he did it more, I probably wouldn't be calling him a bitch as much. But, he's been really good, specifically the last game. You could say the last 2 games, but I don't count the 8-1 game. I just don't. I say that was Florida thinking that they were going to just go home and win it and just take it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they were essentially trying to do what the Celtics did.
Right.
But then they came out and just couldn't close it out.
Right. You have to withstand the onslaught in the first period. In a Stanley Cup, when you are the away team, you come out with everything you got to be able to shut the crowd up as quickly as possible.
Yep.
So your first 10 minutes is balls to the wall. And if you got to withstand that onslaught, if you don't get that on, if you withstand it, you win. If you don't, if you give up a couple of goals, now you're fighting to get back.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's going to be an interesting one tomorrow night.
Yeah, that'll be a good one. I'll have to where I'll be. I'll have to just score check on my phone though. I won't actually get to see it. But
and who's the Arena League team that you are covering?
Yeah, so it's the Washington Wolfpack. So I was at an event with them last night, and so got to meet the team, the ownership group, and the coaches and all that. So yeah, it was fun, and I was down at the Queen Anne Beer Hall, right? So always a good trip down there. So that was one where I had a beer, right? Because it's a beer hall.
It's at the Queen Anne Beer Hall.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So definitely doing that. But yeah, no. So it was fun. It was good stuff. Obviously, since we spend a lot of time on the mic, when they just randomly were like, "Hey, get on stage and talk to us." I'm like, "Oh, okay." Like I wasn't prepared for that, but sure, what the hell? Let's do this. And so fortunately, we get a lot of mic time, so it was not a big deal. But it
Awesome.
was.
See, that would be something I'd thrive in.
Oh,
yeah,
me too. Yeah,
yeah, that's what we do for a living. You don't need to be prepped. You just be like, okay, guys, I appreciate you guys having me here and having me come up and talk to you guys. I'm looking forward to a great season with you guys, and blah 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 blah. After talking to you guys, I'm expecting big things. I know you guys can do it, and you just give them that rah rah at the end, and like, let's go Wolfpack. Oh. You know what I mean?
Exactly. That's what it was. It was like, I'm expecting big things, so let's get out there and do it. But yeah, no, it was funny because I was sitting there, manning the camera, and they're like, "Get up here," and I'm like, "All right, let's go." So one of the questions they asked me, they're like, "Well, what's the good, bad, and the ugly, right?" And I was like, "Well, I mean, I guess with the ugly, we got to start with the record, right? Because they're 1-6." I was just like, well, I mean, we can start with that, but it's year one. It's a new team. Lots of things you can build on. Lots of good chemistry here. Like, I see good things coming forward. So I mean, yeah, it's exactly that.
Exactly. Like, hey, we're 1-6. It's a brand new team. It's this is what happens sometimes. But you know what? Teams that drink together win together, and we're all here tonight. So I know that next game you guys are going to be doing all the stuff that you haven't done yet. The camaraderie of this team is only going to get stronger. Yeah, it's
exactly. Yeah. Again, so why doesn't the WNBA have people to prep people like that? Because I mean, we pull that out of our ass as we go up there.
I just did half the speech. I got to imagine that was about half your speech.
Exactly.
Like literally, it's like keeping it positive, having a strong attitude, making sure it's a team, rah, rah, rah. Let's go.
Let's go. Exactly. Right. So, I mean, how are they not prepping these people in that way? I mean, if you've spent any time in front of a mic, that is your path.
Right. And but they don't do that. They do not do that. And maybe that's what they need. They need us.
Hey,
so just give us $500,000. I don't even need $1 million.
That's
just
right.
$500,000, and I would be more than happy to prep these ladies, because I don't know that they want me prepping them, because they could just go back onto this show and they'd be like, "You're sexist. You're sexist. You're sexist. You're sexist. Sexist. Sexist." But I mean it all in fun, But yeah. But I don't know that I don't know that they're going to pay me to do that, but they could, and I would absolutely take it seriously. I would absolutely take it seriously, because it would be they need somebody. They need somebody who can do that. I mean, it sounds so ridiculous that I'm about to say this, but Michelle Obama would be a good person for that job.
No,
as funny as that, as ridiculous as that sounds to me, just that I said that out loud, she would probably be a really good person for that job. She is a woman of color. She, she's tall, so she could look at these guys eye to eye, and and she commands the respect from the door. And I think that's part of the problem here.
Speaker. So, right. I mean, I actually get what you mean there. Like she would be fantastic in that role. So,
or somebody just like her.
Well,
that's the important part. Like that's what's got to happen, and it's at the moment they just isn't there, and it's a shame.
Absolutely, and that brings us to the top of the hour. Always goes pretty quick. Again, if you are watching, we will not be on tomorrow. I will be on the road. Pags will be doing anything else. And you have a interview that will be in this spot. Other than that, we'll see y'all next week.
Have a good weekend. Ding, that was perfect.